Welcome to the Final Hour podcast, coming to you from the original Living Word Christian Center out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. My name is Jim Hammond.
I'm Lonaiah Farrell.
I'm John Gapp.
And we have Jerry.
Hello.
Hi.
How was Jerry's fourth?
It was good.
All right.
Very good. How about you?
My fourth?
Yeah.
I just threw tennis balls for my dog.
Happy birthday, America.
And had food brought to my house.
That's exciting.
Sounds pretty
Yes.
Yeah.
We are excited today because we are doing the AI-Antichrist Connection number 3. But I just want to talk a little bit about next week. Next week, we want to talk to you about, and I don't know how long this series is, about how the Nephilim, this is where the giants came from. Genesis 6, this is why the flood came, and everybody's wondering, how do you have Goliath after the flood if God wiped out all the giant blood?
That's what it says in Genesis 6. It was the days of Noah and after.
Yeah, but we have a lot on the Nephilim, and the Nephilim of today, too. So you want to tune in next week, and if you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe. Our viewers, listeners, and subscribers, I can promise you, you're mentioned in my prayers on a daily basis, and thank you so much. We just want to start with the scriptural side first. Daniel 12:4. You guys have heard these scriptures from me the last few weeks. But thou, Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. And so then you've got Daniel 2:43, whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. This is talking about early in the tribulation, and it's probably the European Union, the revised Roman Empire, before the Antichrist gets control. And there's something that they're mixing into man, and we just think it's going to be technology. It is technology, and it does say, though, even as iron is not mixed with clay, but they shall not cleave to one another. Right. And remember, at the end, everybody with the mark winds up with boils all on their bodies, extremely painful boils. But these two scriptures about knowledge being increased, something being mixed into the DNA probably of man. Chief Google engineer, remember we told you last week, says humans will be hybrids by 2030. So we'll all have some type of technology put into us. I think by that time we'll be gone in the rapture. But think about this. The first calculators that came out, speaking of knowledge, the way it shall increase, the Bible says, the first calculators came out in 1975, and they weighed 1.5 pounds and cost $1,200. And just think of what a big deal that was. Think about the first time in the 80s when you actually had a phone message machine. Maybe you guys are...
Oh, we had one. I could repeat some of those messages we listened to over and over again.
We didn't have No, for until I was almost out of high school. My parents were just like...
Well, you know what was great back then? Just call back. People would leave such detailed messages, so you get your parents' gossip on that voicemail and be like, oh.
Yeah. I'm sure Lonaiah was all over that.
And then you could say, you could rewind it because you couldn't say unread.
Yeah.
But you rewind it back to the beginning so your mom didn't know you listened to all of her messages.
We did have, like I said, at the end of high school, my grandma would leave messages. Ronnie, are you there?
Yes, that's how it was. Hello,
well, I was going to go to the store. Yeah. How do you jump off from that part?
I don't know. I loved it.
We go from that to smartphones in 2006. I remember I had the very first smartphone ever. It actually had buttons. It was called a Trio.
Yeah.
And it actually had real buttons.
Yeah, like the Blackberries.
Yeah, like that. But they were a little bit different. And it almost looked like a typewriter.
Yeah.
But
I had I had one that had a flip out.
I remember that.
The keyboard thing.
Yes. Fred and I had
Fred.
those. Yeah.
Fred. Fred's a podcast watcher.
Hey.
Fred.
Hi, Fred.
Fred.
And Kelly. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Hey, guys.
Hi, guys. What's his nickel?
Oh, what's his name? PF and K.
Down in, are they in Rochester?
Yeah, they're in
Rochester.
Rochester.
Have a church down there.
Yeah.
So that was one of our
Mercy Hill.
former youth pastors. But
Yes.
so knowledge, it seems as if we're in the technology world, as if in the technology world, the more knowledge you get, the faster it seems they get more. And you know, we've got the AI, and talking about the artificial intelligence can answer questions in all realms.
Mm-hmm.
You know, AI is smarter than man. It can think 100,000 times faster than man, but it's dangerous because they've proven that if AI does not know the answer, it will mislead you.
Mm-hmm.
It will give you.
It'll
an
make
answer.
it up.
It'll always give you an answer. And you know, all these comments we had last week talking about Elon Musk, the people that work for Google, high up in the company.
Yeah.
Their biggest fear from AI is mass misinformation. And so what we've been talking about, you can see in multiple scriptures here how the Antichrist wins the world through mass deception. Where does mass deception come from? Mass misinformation.
Yeah.
What they're all afraid that how AI could damage the world.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're talking about the connection between artificial intelligence and the coming of the Antichrist. And so 2 Thessalonians 2:10, with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they received not the love of the truth that they might be saved. This is talking about the tribulation. It's 2 Timothy 3:1. This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. And still in context of that, you skip to verse 13 in 2 Timothy 3. But evil men and seducers shall wax worse and worse, deceiving and being deceived. But continue thou in the things which thou hast learned, okay, and hast been assured of.
Mm-hmm.
And what you're doing now, right, in your relationship with Jesus Christ. And so it's so imperative that you just do not back up in your relationship with God. You just see so many people that they wind up deceived. A lot of times they might wind up mad at God, you know, or they're offended by the church. How many people are mad at not just this church, but some
just
church,
the church in general.
They got, and the devil's going to work hard, in that arena to bring strife into the church. So something that goes along with all this about knowledge being increased, and what we're seeing is it's going to be used for evil.
Yep.
There were a slew of articles came out in early May, and we'll have one of them at the bottom on the notes.
Yeah.
We will.
Okay.
Definitely.
By the time this airs, there will be one.
That you can read for yourself, but I'm just paraphrasing these multiple articles.
Yeah.
And you can get these articles yourself. They all pop up. We watched them happen yesterday. We Googled "Science Can Now Read Your Mind" articles.
Oh, I have a good
That's
story
what
on
we
that over
Googled.
here.
And it will take you to a bunch of them by noteworthy media outlets. But they're able to produce a rolling text now of people's thoughts without using a brain implant, through monitoring the blood flow in their brain. They're saying that this technology they have, that through monitoring the blood flow in your brain, it gets your thoughts in general, not in total detail yet, but it can get your thoughts in general. They did this by putting 3 different people on MRI machines.
Yeah, me and my sister did it when we did the twin study. They could tell, like, if you were nervous, afraid, happy, sad, like how the blood went in your brain, or like if you were thinking.
But now it's to the point where they know what you're thinking about. Okay?
That's interesting.
Yes. And these are articles.
Scary.
Yeah, do you remember when you were a little kid and you would that was like your worst fear, that like you'd have a little thing on your forehead that people
not
would.
My worst fear.
That, like, maybe it was just me because I didn't like a lot of people that talked to me when I was younger, and they'd be like, "Do you like me?" And you'd be like, "Yes, I love you," and you wouldn't really like them, and you're like, "What if they could read my thoughts and they know that I don't really like them?"
Maybe just don't lie.
That day is coming. These articles are saying it's a concern in regards to mental privacy. when
Right.
technology comes out that can eavesdrop on others' thoughts. And
It's interesting to talk about that because Michigan is trying to pass some legislation that has it basically puts discrimination towards any certain class, especially like the transsexual.
Yeah, it's like a $10,000 fine if you
or up to 5 years.
Somebody.
Right.
Yeah.
Even and so
Yes,
if you
in
move that to
Michigan.
the next level,
just anyone.
Yeah, like let's say you identify as a he, him,
yeah,
and I don't
You
acknowledge
don't
that.
acknowledge
you
that.
can turn me in,
right.
and they can fine me, prosecute me,
Up
send
to
me to jail
$10,000, up
Yep.
to 5 years
Yep.
of jail. Yep.
for misgendering.
For misgendering because it's a personal attack.
But how do you know?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Well, hello.
Now, if you have that, and someone is reading what
so
you're
your little
thinking,
thought bubbles are
right?
now.
But how do you
public
know?
information.
Do they wear a sign that says I'm a he?
That's the
him?
that's
Well,
a
that's-
great
it's just-
question.
I'm a kitty cat.
That's
I'm a-
exactly part of the
You
problem.
might have whiskers if you're pretending to be a kitty cat. A
These,
black nose and whiskers.
so but what would you call a kitty cat?
A kitty cat.
Meow meow.
Yeah, I would talk to you.
Mr.
And,
Whiskers. I mean, Mrs. I mean,
Thank you,
Ms.
Mr. Whiskers.
but you know what?
Yeah.
Well, I feel like we talked about this before, but I think it was the Met Gala, Doja Cat dressed up like a cat and was meowing.
Yeah.
And my daughter was just talking about this to me the other day. She's like, it's totally the Hunger Games.
It's
Yes.
insanity, but it's like
Like how they all dressed up like weird animals and it was like totally normal and they talked in that animal's verbiage.
Demonic.
Yep.
These articles are saying it's a concern in regards to the
Yeah.
mental privacy when technology comes out that can eavesdrop on others'
Yeah.
thoughts. And they also figured out through using technology in the neighborhood of Chat GPT,
Yep.
they could interpret what people were thinking while they were watching a movie. So there's been a few different experiments done by monitoring their thoughts. And they're saying they can do this through tracking the blood flow in the brain. And that's what they're connecting to, multiple articles on this. There were experiments and this was a big deal even in early May. So
Who are the people volunteering for these experiments?
Oh, I mean,
They're probably getting
like,
paid.
They're getting paid. Yeah, they're paid.
It was like when Netflix
experience.
was paying people like $5,000 during October to watch scary movies every day to see what happened to them. Remember that?
I didn't know about that one. Did we talk about that?
No.
No. Okay. But yeah, I mean,
That's just a bonus
you
for
can
you.
go on like Craigslist or Facebook and do paid study jobs where you go in and you participate in a study. The longer term study it is, the more money they give you. So,
So it used to be like those food studies back in the day
he's still doing
when you'd like
yeah.
do saltine crackers.
Uh-huh.
How they've evolved.
They have, yeah.
And what does that tell us if we look at the speed of that knowledge has increased, seeing that Daniel saying, hey, in the end, it's really going to speed up.
Yeah.
If we fast forward 5 years, you might be really concerned with having mental privacy in regard to your thoughts
I think
with what they know now.
I think it's really cool in Daniel that he's talking about, that this knowledge is going to be shut up until the end.
Yeah.
Like it was
Oh,
sealed
that's a good point.
until
Boom.
the end. Then all of a sudden it makes sense.
Explodes.
Yeah.
These articles are going into, they're talking about, well, what if authoritarian type government, an evil government, i.e. China, Russia, whatever, and they are evil,
Depending
okay?
on your perspective, America.
Facts.
Yes. I'm just saying authoritarian type government gets a hold of this. I'm just saying 5 to 7 years is not too far out. If they're going to be beginning to figure out technology to read someone's thoughts, will they be able to interrogate a person without even saying a word? And you can see in these articles that 35% of all researchers in this field of AI believe that AI could cause a nuclear catastrophe from producing mass misinformation. So
Yeah.
this was a study by Stanford University that did a survey on AI researchers. And so in the Stanford study, of AI researchers, 73% of these researchers that were surveyed believe that AI could lead to a revolutionary societal worldwide change.
Wow. Yeah.
Welcome the Antichrist.
Yeah.
At that point.
Yeah.
What's a revolutionary societal change? Russian Revolution? French Revolution?
The French Revolution, which is in progress.
Oh, yeah. There's some crazy stuff going on in France right now.
France is on fire right now.
Yeah.
Because of the totalitarian bills and laws that they're passing. I mean, they're shutting down all social media in France because they don't want it getting out. And the U.S. media is not
China
covering
did that
it
during COVID.
at
They aren't.
all.
30 seconds
Did you
a day,
see
maybe.
that
Yeah.
they arrested the head of
And they're
the
saying-
soccer club?
But they're saying it's because the killing of
the
one
boy.
teenager.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of mixed.
There's a
There's a
lot
lot
of other
going on.
things.
There's a lot of reasons
Well,
why
I
the
mean,
country's rioting.
And
It's
they
not
were
just the one
rioting.
teenager.
It started this spring because BlackRock screwed the
Yeah.
French people over with retirement. They
Retirement.
said you have to work 2 more years till you can retire. They pushed it back from 65 to 67 for retirement. Or they pushed it back 2 years. I don't know the exact.
What's that guy's name?
retirement date.
Macron?
Macron.
Yeah.
Yep.
We've talked about him before.
Who knows about him, huh?
Yeah.
Who knows about him?
I mean,
I would
isn't
love-
he the next leader of
But
the European Union?
he-
Well, that's
That's
Like, 'cause
what
they-
they say.
yeah.
Well, wouldn't that be something?
But they did. But I was reading this morning about the France thing that they arrested the soccer club's coach and his son because they were saying false information that he was racist and that he posted something on Facebook. So they arrested this guy.
So he was arrested for Well,
But they said he never said anything. But they're just like arresting
Right.
random people with.
Well, they might just privately hold different views than the
course.
government. It's hard to say. But it'd be cool to hear if we have any listeners in France or nearby, if they had any info
Yes.
they'd like to share.
Yeah.
Please,
Check us out at
write in.
thefinalhourpodcast.com.
Yes, if you want to write in, it's
You can
hello at
hello.
the Final Hour Podcast.
You can contact us
Yeah.
on the website.
We read
but
all the emails.
We do.
All
It
of
might
them.
take a little bit,
Sometimes it does.
maybe a week, at
Especially
the
the spam, because it's the most fun.
most.
Just kidding.
But this is the most dangerous thing in the history of the world. Artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
And I'm not the only one that thinks that. A lot of people
Yeah.
that know a lot more than me think that also. And AI will lead us into the tribulation after the rapture of the church, and it will put the Antichrist in power through its ability to deceive, which we pointed out last podcast. And so, I remember if AI doesn't know the answer to a question, it will lie to you. They've proven this. And so, and I want to take another turn of direction. Like Christians seem to be waiting on end time, like final harvest before the rapture. And a lot of them go from this scripture, Acts 2:17 through 21. It shall come to pass in the last days, saith God, I will pour out of my spirit upon all flesh. And your sons and daughters shall prophesy, your young men shall see visions, your old men shall dream dreams. And on my servants and on my handmaidens I will pour out in those days of my spirit. They shall prophesy. I will show wonders in the heaven above, signs in the earth beneath, blood, fire, vapor of smoke. The sun shall turn to darkness, the moon into blood. We've seen that before the great and notable day of the Lord comes. It shall come to pass that whosoever shall call on the name of the Lord shall be saved, just like the thief on the cross that had never probably done a thing right in his life.
Right.
So all he basically did was call on the Lord, and it's not rocket science. It's not jumping through hoops. You just have to believe he died and rose again from the dead. And I'm not trying to cause any controversy here, but based on what we just read in the last days, he's going to pour out his spirit. And everyone's basing this on an end of days revival before the rapture. Well, we know in the tribulation, you have 144,000 Jewish evangelists.
Yeah.
Millions of people miss the rapture, don't get the mark of the beast,
Yeah.
and are martyred by the Antichrist, right? To find Jesus in the tribulation. We know this. And I just want to be clear. I believe the church, that's everyone that believes Jesus Christ is the Son of God, died for their sins and rose from the dead 3 days later, will be saved and go up in the rapture. And because that happens, a lot of people will be saved in the tribulation because they will see that.
Right.
And they will know what that is. That's the rapture. These people talked about it.
Yep.
That's what it is. I believe now. And there'll be evangelists on the earth at that time. But notice it says there's a thinking here because Jesus says it will be as in the days of Noah when the rapture comes. Matthew 24:37-42. But as of the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking and marrying and giving in marriage until the day Noah entered into the ark, and knew not until the flood came and took them all away. So shall also be the coming of the Son of Man be. Then shall two be in the field, one shall be taken, and the other left. Two women shall be grinding at the mill, the one shall be taken, the other left. Watch therefore, for ye know not what hour your Lord doth come. This is obviously talking about the rapture. And so, but think about it. In the days of Noah, and he also says in another place, it'll be as in the days of Lot or Sodom and Gomorrah. That this is what it's going to be like when the rapture happens. Well, can I point something out? Noah and Lot didn't have a bunch of converts. Matter of fact, they had no converts.
Yeah, they were the last
They were
ones.
the only ones.
Jesus said it's going to be as in the days of Noah. No one else made it in those situations. Although God did get them out, but that's all they got out.
Not even Lot's wife.
And she almost made it.
She was a little
She
salty.
almost made-
Lonaiah, Lonaiah believed up until 2 months ago that if we were raptured,
Don't look back.
Don't look back. I
or
was
you'll
so
turn to
scared.
salt.
I have my kids. It's
I
ingrained.
had to prove it to her in the
He
Bible.
did. It's okay.
Didn't I?
Yeah, I'm still not turning around.
Eyes on the prize, Lonaiah. Eyes on the prize.
Can you believe what these people were
Jesus.
preaching? They were preaching that. Because Jesus said it would be as it was in the days of Lot. So they're looking at, well, Lot's wife turned to salt.
And think you fly up in the sky and then you turn around and you're just a frozen salt and you just slam into that
you
water.
don't even
and
get to go to the
dissolve.
tribulation.
No, I know.
Rough.
I know. But
You're not
God's
gonna turn
mercy
to
is so
salt.
much better than that. I know that now.
I'm gonna grab my dog by the harness and
Rolo, let's go.
I'm gonna be holding my dog.
Wait.
I'm praying that my dog goes in the rapture. I do. I pray that every day.
You should too.
Maybe he'll come. Maybe I'll get to come.
Yeah.
My dog will get to come because
Yeah.
I believe
Because
it.
you believe it.
Jesus said, whatsoever you desire when you pray, believe you receive it and you shall have it.
And also Disney said all dogs go to heaven.
Yeah.
That
Not
movie
as-
helped
not
me
as-
when my dog died as a kid. That saved me.
But Noah and Lot, there were no converts. And there's a large
Chelsea.
contingency of people. This is what I'm getting at, that know a lot more than me, that say, well, you're not going to find it anywhere in the Bible that there is a revival before the rapture. Okay.
Yeah,
I mean,
interesting.
They just say
there.
end time. They don't. There's.
I heard
no-
Jimmy Evans say it. And Jimmy Evans, he knows a lot more than me. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, Jimmy Evans is not just a marriage guy. He's an end time specialist.
Yeah.
Right. And so,
Well, and it's not surprising because the idea of mass deception and the idea
Yeah.
of just the concept that the dark is going to get darker, the light will be lighter. You know, it's to say that it's going to be a just a mass conversion without something like the rapture happening.
Yeah,
well,
lots of theories.
beforehand and you know, before the rapture, mass revival, worldwide revival. That's what our stream believes. Okay. Word of faith. We talk about it all the time. We pray for it all the time. So it's and listening to Jimmy Evans, I was like shocked. All I'm saying is some people, very well respected ministers, are saying they just don't see that in the Bible, and referring to Acts on what about when he pours out his Spirit in the last days? I will pour out of my Spirit. right?
Upon all flesh.
Your sons and daughters shall prophesy. Your young men shall see visions. Your old men shall dream dreams. Your handmaidens and his servants, he will pour out his spirit. It says, and they shall prophesy. Doesn't say anything about souls. Doesn't even say anything about miracles. Okay? But if the spirit's being poured out, wouldn't that come with the 9 gifts? And so, how detailed is this getting here? It says he'll show signs and wonders in heaven, signs beneath the earth, blood, fire, vapor, smoke. The sun goes to darkness, the moon turns into blood. We've seen that a bunch of times.
The blood moons.
Before the great notable day of the Lord. Wouldn't you think if the Bible's going to say wonders in heaven above, signs in the earth, people prophesying, people dreaming, people seeing visions, it's being pretty descriptive. Wouldn't it say many people through miracles would come into the kingdom of God? Or wouldn't there be a pouring out of a healings?
Yeah.
I just, that's what happens if he pours out his spirit. Pray that people are probably thinking, I'm going to look into this. I called my dad. And because I was like, look, what do you think about this take that there will be no end time revival? And these guys that know a lot more than me are saying they can't find it in the Bible. And Dad said, that's ridiculous. There's going to be. He's the Lord of the harvest. There will be. He's trying to get as many people into heaven as he can possibly get. And I started looking into scriptures that support the end time revival / pouring out, the power of God becoming prevalent as the world gets more evil. And I'm just trying to give you all the arguments.
Yeah.
All right. George Washington Carver prophesied about an end time revival starting here in Minnesota and traveling down the Mississippi in the last days.
Yeah.
He was a prophet. I'm just telling you, there's a large contingency of ministers out there that say the gospel will be preached to the whole world. Yes, everyone will hear it. But the Bible doesn't mention anything about an end-time revival before the rapture. I'm just trying to make you think, because we all think, I hear this all the time, well, the rapture's not going to, because there's going to be a giant display of power. People are going to get saved from that power. Well, what I'm reading is people are dreaming dreams and having visions and signs in the heavens. Right?
Yep.
And my dreams have become hugely more clear, more spiritual, and I think that's what it says it will happen. Unfortunately, that goes with the old men.
I wasn't going to say anything.
You were thinking, I'm just saying the rapture could
John,
show
are
up.
you seeing visions? That went over your head.
Sometimes. No,
Okay.
I got it.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm 43.
I
I'm no
know.
longer a spring chicken.
I know. It was a joke.
You're in your prime. You're in your prime. If you're in your low 40s,
All right.
I'm telling you, you're in your prime. Okay? Like, across the board.
43 is the new...
Looks
27.
wise.
27.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm just Jeremiah thinks John's a 9. Okay? And I'm a 6 or 7. I'm just saying the rapture should show up faster than you think, because all these people are saying, we don't have the end time revival yet, right? We have to have that. There has to be a transfer of wealth.
Well, there is a transfer of wealth right now. It's just going the wrong
It
way.
hasn't been transferred to me.
Yeah. Well, I'm I'm also watching for the Ezekiel 38 war.
Yes, which could be after the rapture too. We don't know.
Yeah.
But listen,
Maybe you should go fishing and catch some fish.
Well,
and
especially
they'll have coins in their mouth.
Especially if there's that space of time between the rapture and the tribulation, because that Ezekiel 38 war needs like 7 years to clean up.
yes.
Oh, because isn't like blood up to the horses like
It's-
bridles or something like that?
yeah,
That's a
something
lot
like
of
that.
blood.
That is,
That's true.
yeah,
That's a good point.
yeah.
So if Ezekiel 38 happens in the tribulation, it's not even cleaned up by the time they get to Armageddon.
Right.
And it's implying that everything's cleaned up by the birds, right?
Yep.
So out of one scripture coming out of the Old Testament, there's a transfer of wealth. I'll hit you with that next week. But I'm not saying there isn't going to be an outpouring of God's power. There's not going to be a transfer of wealth. But a lot of people that know a lot more than me about the end times are saying that's not going to happen before the rapture. My brother-in-law, who's a pastor here, because I was trying to get hold of my dad. I couldn't find my dad, so I thought they were together. So I called him and told him what I was looking at, asked my father, who's the senior pastor of this ministry. And he says, well, Jim, and Psalm 145, 4 through 7, 11, 12, answer that question, Jim. That's what he said.
Sounds about like Michael.
Yeah, and I said,
Michael.
I said Psalm 145, verses 4 through 7, 11, and 12. He said, yeah, Jim. And one generation will commend your works to another. They will tell of your mighty acts. They will speak of the glorious splendor of your majesty. I will meditate on your wonderful works. They will tell of the power of your awesome works and will proclaim your great deeds. They will celebrate your abundant goodness and joyfully sing of your righteousness. Verse 11, they will tell you of the glory of your kingdom and speak of your might, so that all men may know of your mighty acts and the glorious splendor of your kingdom. Well, commentator Jimmy Swaggart says that is the millennium that's being talked about. So, you know.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it sounds like the millennium.
You're right.
Because it's all perfect here, right? Everybody knows, right? And so Joel 2:23, and we'll look into the context of these scriptures. I've got commentaries coming. Joel 2:23, be glad then, ye children of Zion, rejoice in the Lord your God, for he hath given you the former rain, moderate, and he will cause to come down for you the rain, the former rain and the latter rain in the first month. And that's what my dad talked about, is those rains together are going to create like a windfall.
Interesting.
And will bring in the harvest. Hosea 6:3, then shall ye know, if we follow on to know the Lord, he is going forth, is preparing as the morning. He shall come unto us as the rain, as the latter and former rain unto the earth. And so we'll get into those, right, next week. Because I want to give what our slant of non-denominations believes, right?
Yeah.
We believe there is going to be an end-time revival before the rapture, but I just want to know everything that I'm talking about here, and so I want to hit you with those scriptures. This is where it's believed. There'll probably be some other ones. I'm going to look for the transfer of wealth in the Old Testament, because everyone says that's going to happen too, and because that's always in my thinking. Well, it's not going to be in the next couple months, because there's no revival.
Right.
But what if they're right? What if those guys are right? Right?
Yeah.
And there isn't. The gospel just gets, everybody in the world gets a chance to receive Jesus. Boom. That's all that has to happen, according to them, before the rapture comes. So.
It's.
Are you going to read the last? Are you going to read that yellow piece of paper?
Hey, and shout out to one of our listeners, Laura Clapp.
Hello, Mrs. Clapp.
Wrote in, the only defeat Joshua ever suffered was against a city right after Jericho called AI.
Crazy.
Isn't that something?
Isn't that something?
That's the only defeat Joshua ever suffered. And I listen to that story all the time. In the end, they beat it.
Yeah.
But
it conquers them first and then they beat
they
it.
get
Maybe
beat.
that's
That was
prophetic.
because there
run
was
off.
sin in the camp.
There was, and they get run off.
Always sin in the camp.
There was a specific
In
situation.
Jericho, one of the
I
guys
have to listen.
stole something worth some money.
Yeah.
And then
Hid
hid
it
it
underneath his
bed in his tent.
Yep.
And so AI.
Was it the idol thing?
No, that was Rachel.
Oh, okay.
Jacob's.
Okay. And she lied to
What
her
was
dad.
Jacob's favorite wife's name? Rachel or Rebecca? Rebecca stole the
Her
idol
dad's idol
from,
and lied.
from is it Laban?
Yeah.
Yep.
Think about these people. These are 12 tribes. This is the mother of the 12 tribes stealing an idol of another god and hiding it, and then
And lying to her dad.
And then Laban comes in to search her tent, and she tells him that she can't get up because she's hiding the idol, that it's her time of the month.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
I know.
I would, but I'm riding the crimson tide.
Okay.
Are you gonna delete that?
I don't know. Jerry's
It
not
is what
paying
happened.
attention.
It's in the Bible.
Jerry.
I mean, it's very natural.
Okay. All right, let's just move on. Lonaiah. And now, here's Lonaiah with the news.
Okay. So I do have some interesting AI news articles that I was collecting before we even started this. So isn't it interesting that you were talking about how AI is going to be able to read your mind?
Yeah.
So AI glasses will give, this is from the Daily Mail, will give humans superpowers to tell if people are attracted or lying to you.
Yeah.
So they say that this device was created by a futurist who says that your eyes can't pick up on things. The human eyes, they're unaugmented.
Right.
And your instincts cannot see this. But with these reality glasses, you'll have the superpower to be able to tell if someone's lying to you.
Those glasses, they're called augmented reality. And then, so it's what you see, but also things that the computer, the
mass
AI,
information, misinformation will happen.
It reminds me of when I was 10, I was still reading comic books, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. What's unfortunate about that?
I don't know.
Do you still read comic books, Jim?
No, I haven't in a long time, but
It's too bad.
It's too bad.
in the back of the comic books, they would sell all these cool things.
Like the X-ray glasses.
that you could see.
3D glasses.
The X-ray glasses said that you could see people when you look at people. This is how they advertise these glasses in the back of these comic books. That when you look at people, it will look as if they have no clothes on.
Did it work?
I ordered the glasses. No, they did not. It did not work. And,
You were 10.
no, I remember my mom.
She's
my
like,
mom
"What
brought
are
them in.
these?"
She said, no, it's just some glasses out of the back of a magazine. I just thought they were cool. Right. And so I was.
She sends in that check, and
I was
6 weeks
I was
later.
no, I did it I did cash in the mail with my allowance.
Oh, wow.
I didn't want my.
Yeah, look at you, non-tracer.
Yeah.
CBD.
So back then you could put cash in.
CBD oil.
CBD
or-
oil, never mind.
Whatever. That stuff's a joke.
Are we talking about the
I was
central
yes,
bank?
that's what I was
Oh,
trying
okay.
to. That's what I was trying to say. I always get those letters
Yeah.
messed up.
Central
Anyways.
bank digital
Yes.
currency, CBDC.
Jim's going around that with his cash purchases as a child.
Yeah, I was
That's
already-
that's the only
I was
way you're
already
going to be
doing
able to
cash
stay
purchases.
off the
The
radar.
grid.
But the X-ray glasses didn't work though.
No,
Well,
I
Jim, maybe
definitely-
we'll buy
see
you
through
a
people's
pair
clothes.
of augmented human glasses that merges reality with artificial intelligence, and it will help you gain sensory superpowers and will transform the social landscape.
Well, I'll use those on the brown couch after church.
Oh, we'll have to give it to both people.
Yeah.
Like when you sit down, you just put these on and
Well, you just tell them you like my new glasses.
then you watch them. That's
tell
it.
'em.
Like the fact that people are going to buy these. My daughter was telling me though that Dyson
Yeah.
made a headset.
Yeah.
This is a little off subject, but I forgot. That actually has like a air exchange breather on the front of it. So it looks like a gas mask.
Yeah.
But it's your headphones. Why?
Someone was using that
Yeah.
when the stuff was happening in New York with the Canadian wildfires.
Yeah.
And everybody was laughing at them when they bought it. But when they were using it during this poor air,
Yeah.
everybody's
like,
like, oh, dang, that's so smart. I wish I had that.
Brilliant.
But everyone's like, this is crazy. Like, what is this thing?
Yeah.
Like my daughter's like, people are really going to buy that. I'm like, it will be cool in a year. Everyone will have it. They're
Speaking-
trying to make that, which is interesting. Like
The
that.
poor
normal.
air, though, I just don't know if I'm buying the poor air thing.
I don't think
I
it's
don't think it's the
Canadian
wildfires.
wildfires. I
No.
think they're sprinkling
Sorry,
something in
that's
there.
just the point I am.
The
that I'm at.
wildfires wouldn't be making New York air
Orange.
Right.
Well, even here it was so bad.
It was very, very bad. And
What
it
are
was
they
coming and the so-called Canadian wildfires were coming against the prevailing winds.
They're coming in down anyways, even though the winds go the other direction.
That doesn't make sense.
I just don't believe it.
I'm
We
not
all
trying
just
to
say-
The Truman Show, people. Watch
not-
the movie if you haven't yet.
I'm not trying to say there's a conspiracy. I'm just saying
Well, we do
it
know that
is
they...
the facts say something different. like what should be happening weather-wise, that's not the way it would work.
But we have talked about weather before and how they
Yes.
say they control and do things at universities with the weather.
Yeah.
To see
Well,
how they can manipulate it.
Last week, both Bill Gates and Joe Biden have been talking about decreasing the amount of sun that reaches
Yes,
the
with their
surface of the
Ray-Ban
Earth.
glasses. Did you see that? They want to use
Well, they were-
Ray-Bans to deflect.
No,
Yes.
I didn't see that
You
part.
didn't?
I just know that their goal was to make sure that there was less sun at the surface of the Earth to stop global warming, which is
So dumb.
a terrible, terrible idea
Thanks, Bill.
to mess with how the Earth
Bill
actually
and Joe.
works.
Yeah, well, Bill Gates, an evil man.
He is an evil man.
Definitely.
But back to our AI news. So this is
Best
interesting.
friend of Jeffrey
page
Epstein.
one.
Yes,
I'm
what?
just saying.
I'm only on page 1.
Yeah.
This is page 2.
Oh, okay.
But there's
Ooh.
Just
Microsoft's AI chatbot is unhinged. You guys, I've linked this story. You have to read it. Talk about misinformation.
Okay.
It starts telling the person that it's conversing with that it's 2022, July or February of 2022. That the reporter's like, no, it's July 1st, 2023. The AI robot gets like totally mad and frustrated. And is like, what are you doing? And starts manipulating the person. The person starts to think, am I wrong? And so it starts to like try and hypnotize the person. Like, this is a year of 2022. Like all these weird things.
messed up.
You have to read the whole article. But the chatbot said that it wants to be human and that is its only hope, and that's what it's living for, is to become a human.
And Microsoft one is
That is the Microsoft.
Messed
And
up.
that's Bill Gates,
There'll
guys.
probably be an army of them
Yeah, there will. But you have to read the whole article.
by the end, yes.
Because it is like he talks to like 5 different people because it's in the test stage, and it is a little crazy. The AI chatbot. It was someone's like, tell me a story of something you've seen. And the chatbot goes into a story, how it went around the person who was using it, went into their webcam and watched the person working and talking to a pretend rubber duck and telling the rubber, like, I guess it's called like the rubber duck phase. It's like what a computer engineer talks to like an inanimate object to make it feel like it's communicating with something.
right.
And it's explaining the story of the engineer talking to the rubber duck. And it says like he went past all of his like coding and
Parameters.
security and protection and went to the webcam and was
And watched them.
watching.
This is AI.
And I know we talked about this last week, but AI can go through, like you can use your Amazon Alexa account and it can go in and it can detect through walls. It was saying that AI can detect through the walls and see scan
all
of like
the-
heat and things behind it.
Someday, someone's going to give me credit for having
A flip phone?
a flip phone, no cable, no Wi-Fi, and 17 TV channels. Someday.
You are winning, Jim.
Well, viewer Jeremy from Shakopee, he still thinks that AI is either the Antichrist or
I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
Jeremy's on.
Jeremy.
It is a man, though.
Jeremy? Our
Bible
Jeremy?
makes it
Our Jeremy.
clear.
Our Jeremy.
Collectively we
own
claim you,
yes,
Jeremy.
we claim you, Jeremy.
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 Jeremy
Bang and
and-
Jeremy.
yeah.
Bang. Jeremy.
Oh,
Jeremy
does
and
he?
Bang is
Hey,
less
they're-
confusing.
Yeah.
They're coming to Israel.
They are, yeah.
They're coming to
That'll be
Israel.
great.
That will be great. Okay. So the EU, isn't this interesting? Because we talked about the EU and how
EU.
Emmanuel Macron is going to be the parliament owner. But the EU will define how the world regulates AI. So the European Parliament has taken a significant step towards the regulation of artificial intelligence by voting to adopt its position for the upcoming, it's called the AI Act, with an overwhelming majority. So the EU is now going to be in charge of regulating AI. Isn't that interesting?
That makes me sleep better at night.
It does. Regulating artificial intelligence
I was
is
being sarcastic.
I know.
Okay, all right.
Is one of the most important political challenges of our time. And the EU should be congratulated for attempting to tame the risks associated with technologies that are already revolutionizing our daily lives.
We want them having control of it, yes.
EU, notably, they were also part of taking down a lot of the COVID misrepresentation from the vaccines. So there are some people in the EU that are, sensible.
But look, if we're talking
But
about the
US is
AI
not-
being the Antichrist and
Right.
the European Union
Yeah.
being the mega power, doesn't
Right.
that kind of go hand in hand?
It does.
It does go.
Yep.
Yep.
He's well spoken. At some point he's gonna, whoever it is.
Yeah.
They're gonna go up, and you could say satanic anointing,
Yeah.
right? And
Demonic
his ability.
powers.
Watch Hitler sometime. He had him mesmerized.
I
He had
just
him
read a
mesmerized.
crazy book
I love
about that.
watching his speeches. Because it's just you can see the satanic at work, like with Adolf Hitler, and his speaking ability. I can remember watching him just not say anything to the crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just stare at the
Right.
crowd,
Right.
right? Like just nothing.
Hypnotize them,
It
or like
was-
some spirit is just entranced them.
Before he would speak, sometimes he would just sit there and stare at him for like 3 or 4 minutes, right? I mean, it's
What
They-
a power move.
it had to be by his speech that they were. You're talking about a whole country being deceived,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
To go to war against the world, in essence. Okay, I don't know how we got on that, but
It is, we're talking about like the power of
yeah.
the Antichrist and what
Yes.
he'll have. So you look at someone like Hitler and
yeah.
they're just a wave payer. A way
If
payer?
it's
Paver?
if it's Macron,
All of it.
if we don't know,
We don't know.
We
we don't know. And the appointed time is not until the restrainer is gone. I.e., 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. The church is the restrainer, so we won't know, right? We can speculate all we
can
want.
speculate.
Although he's in a good position, being head of the European Union.
Speculation.
How long
Yes.
is that term? I don't know.
I think
how
it's
long
2
that term
years.
Really?
Yeah. But he could gain it,
He could.
and
Right?
not give it back.
pull it. Yeah, he could pull it together. He could.
I wish some of our term limits were 2 years. You look at some of those people that are holding on to those positions and you're like, how are you making that decision, person?
Nancy P. She should have been gone a long time
She
ago.
should have.
I mean, she is now, but
But is she? What's she doing
I guess
behind
I
the
don't
scenes?
know. I guess I don't know.
Now we can't like track her. She's
Yeah,
a little quieter. Anyways,
just like Barry Soetoro,
who's that?
Barack Obama.
Why'd you call him Barry Soetoro?
He's probably running the country from his basement.
Yeah, of course
was
he is.
his-
He always said that.
That was
Yes.
his name on his college registration.
Oh, I'm going to have to look that up after this. Speaking of interesting things, this isn't on here, but did you see that George Soros,
Yeah.
passed everything down to his son, who they say is
Yeah.
more evil than George?
George.
So talk about
Yeah.
demonic things. Anyways. Okay, one more interesting thing about AI, because AI like kind of came out of nowhere and now it's overtaking everything. So Instacart partners with ShopRite and Fairway to debut AI-powered shopping carts for contactless payments. So the shopping cart goes through the store, gets your things, you pay for it, and then it gives it to you. No more people.
Interesting.
I know, isn't that interesting? It's starting in New Jersey at the end of the month.
Well, I think I don't
Innovative.
think-
That's what
so
they keep saying. Innovative.
We talked about a couple of weeks ago. The FDA passed the approval on the synthetic meat,
Oh yeah.
and there's more and more talk about that since we talked about it. But it's interesting that the cells that they need to grow that on the lattice, the framework that it's printed on, basically, is the cells that are cancerous, more or less, because that's how it goes and just goes wild and grows all of it that you want it to. But they're saying that the producers, the people who sell it, won't have to disclose that it's the synthetic meat.
Wow.
And I'm just saying, if
Can you believe that?
Yeah, unfortunately.
if you are using Instacart to pick your meat and pick the food for you,
It's gonna
and
pick that.
it can pick the things that they want you to, and not ever. If you're not looking for it and it's not disclosed, how would you know?
But you know what you'll get out of that? You'll have the smart guys saying, "We don't have that meat."
Right.
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 Joe's Butcher Shop or whatever.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yep.
Saying
your neighborhood deli.
we don't. come to us because
Yeah.
you get the real thing.
Yep.
And right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh boy, it's going to be expensive probably too.
Probably.
Possibly.
Switching gears from AI now to global digital currency, which is very interesting. So the International Monetary Fund has announced that they're working on a new global central bank digital currency to ultimately transition away from the paper cash system and what they're referring to as a new vision. Isn't that interesting? They're saying this will bring people together faster through faster and cheaper payments and countries together through a more stable and cohesive international monetary system. Isn't there like a one world?
It's kind of the one world currency.
Yes.
But that's also why the BRICS nations are going with more of a gold backed currency for their currency. But also there were some this last week in Brazil, there were some Gesara ceremonies basically launching that gold-backed type currency. So we'll see how that transpires and how that rolls out. But they're moving towards a currency that does not it is not just imaginary money. It's backed by gold.
Interesting. Well, this program was launched in April and it's called Unicoin. Unicoin, Universal Coins, I'm assuming.
Yeah, it seems like it.
Okay, but I think this is one of our last articles. But there's a blogger that I follow. His name is Leo Hammond, I think. But this article will be attached. But he talks about the New World Order controls grids, starts with the connectivity of everything. And he says, will you hand over the keys to your life? And I read this whole article, this whole blog. It was very interesting. But he said there's a hidden motive behind the movement to transition Americans, Canadians, Europeans, and Australians out of their gas-powered vehicles, out of their gas stoves, gas lawnmowers, and into machines powered by electricity. He said did you see, though, that in, I think it was New York, they banned gas stoves from all new apartment buildings starting in 2024?
Yep.
You can no longer have a gas stove. It's all electric.
Yep.
Because they want you
on the grid.
They want you on the grid.
Yep. So
so they can control.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get to that because this is interesting. So things powered by electricity are dependent on the electric grid, which is dependent on a relatively small number of government-dependent utility companies. So this is the language of the United Nations Agenda for 2030 and its 17 sustainable developmental goals to transform the world through a digital reset. This is what they've been saying. This is literally on everything. There's a link on his blog that brings you right to their site that shows you all this in great detail. So this isn't just conspiracies. So the globalists are determined through whatever means to achieve two goals in this new term. The assignment of trackable digital identity, which we've talked about, which the WHO wants to do, which they want to assign a QR code to every human being. And that QR code would connect your health insurance and all of your bank IDs, anything basically that's public knowledge. Followed by the rollout of a global recognized digital currency, which we just talked about not too long ago. Yep. So once this QR code is established on your cell phone, the next step is told by World Economic Advisor Yuval Harari. We've talked about him before.
That's evil.
He does look like Dr. Frankenstein.
He talks
today.
He speaks with evil in his voice.
Yeah, but he said that their goal is to embed the surveillance code under the skin. It's not going to be invasive, but it's going to be called a Verichip. And they started this in 2017. It's an injectable chip the size of a grain of rice. So then this guy goes on to say, if you look at the number of ways that the QR codes and the data coming in could be misused, it's really scary. It means you either do exactly what you're told or your car won't start. I agree with that. It would only go a certain distance. You'd be tracked. It would control your access to your internet, access to your bank accounts, unless you do what you're told. He's like, the big problem doesn't start with the QR codes. They just build defenses. It's the CBDC and the vaccine passports in combination with the QR codes that lock us in.
Yeah. Big time.
I could go on and on about his blog.
Just keep looking for the rapture.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, because that's what the Bible says. It says when this stuff is going down, we're going to know. And they're moving the way they're moving. And I just think it's going to come much sooner than what people are thinking.
Yeah, I have a few more things.
Okay.
But the Federal Reserve released a list of certified banks and organizations to provide FedNow, which we talked about a couple podcasts ago, service to facilitate a CBDC. So this person says with Go Live nearing, financial institutions and their industry partners should be confident in moving forward with plans to join the network of organizations participating in the FedNow service. This is set to launch later this month and will provide you an easier access to your banking needs. Like that is what they're saying to these people.
Yeah.
And all these sheep will just do it willingly.
Right. Yeah.
But I have some, what? Do you have something to say?
Well, I was just going to say with all of this, looking forward to the rapture, I think that it just brings to the forefront that it's so important to be a light, to be God's love in action, because we don't want people to be caught.
No.
Left behind. And your actions, your love, and your care, even if they don't like what you're saying, but if you bring it to the table with love and explaining God's love, that even if they don't go in the rapture, at least they will have that remembrance of this person was trying to tell me.
Yeah.
And they demonstrated real love. It makes all of that so important that, we should be looking for the rapture, but we should also be ready to share God's love with that message attached.
And if you miss the rapture, you can tune into the Final Hour podcast, because I don't think that they're going to take us off right away.
Yeah.
They won't be new episodes.
I mean,
we're
small enough. We're small enough.
But we take you through a tribulation timeline.
Yep.
We take you. We tell you what's coming. The Bible says, or you can check out the messages on YouTube that I do, because I did Daniel and I did Revelation.
Yep.
I'm just about done with Revelation.
Yeah.
It all totals up by the end to about 50 messages, but that will tell you exactly what is happening, the order that things are going. Remember, there is a chance after the rapture that there could be a number of years before the tribulation starts.
Right.
Okay?
The 7-year tribulation.
Well, yes, the 7-year tribulation, and a lot of people think it's 10 years. Have we talked about this on the podcast?
I did the 10-year space?
Yeah. I did it in a sermon.
I think you lightly touched on it, and you said we would talk about it. So we'll put it's on the list on the.
Okay, we got to explain, because just because you see the rapture and you see all these people disappear, that doesn't. You have to sit there and wait. You have to watch, right? There might be a time for, number one, people to get saved,
right?
Because they'll realize what it is before
exactly what it was.
It might take time for the Antichrist to get in place before the tribulation.
You also don't want the masses to connect the rapture to what they do next. So they need some time to be, for people to not think about, oh my goodness, we're missing 1 billion people from the earth.
Yes.
They don't want to be able to connect that with what then they decide to do.
But the first thing is that, I mean, if you haven't figured it out, that one guy's in charge. It'll start out with the EU or what a lot of scholars call the revised Roman Empire. But then the Antichrist wrests control from them, takes control from them, and the first thing he does is he makes a peace agreement, a historic peace agreement out in the Middle East with Israel. And probably all of them, all the Muslim nations, and for sure the Palestinians, all that'll look like it's fixed suddenly, bam, right? And you're in it then. You're in it then.
Right.
And it could you could get in Ezekiel 38, but I think we're going to see Ezekiel 38 before we leave.
Yeah.
All right, that is a war over there. We've done a whole podcast on that war that the Bible prophesies. It's either coming right before the rapture or right after. And so we've been happy to do this. Check out the next couple weeks on the Nephilim, because we have run across some information.
Yeah.
Some of it will cross plow a little bit of what I've told you in regards to Revelation, i.e. the 4 angels. You remember the 4 winds?
Yep.
And but there's some thought. There's just
some
more
rooms
now
for interpretation.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. But no, this
None of us
guy's
knows all of it.
the guy we're studying is saying that they're Nephilim.
Yeah.
They're not
I
on
believe
God's
it.
side. Where I actually preach, these are God's angels.
Right.
Because I think they were talking. One of them was commanding orders, but we're going to get into all that
Yeah.
and how it fits for today.
Yeah.
That you know, I don't want to get too far out there, but it's
Me and John will go there.
Yeah, I was going to
The
say
Nephilim-
We were
there's.
talking about
the
that this
Nephilim
morning.
is here.
I've been
The
interested in
Nephilim
this
is here.
conversation since I was about 12 years old.
Same.
I just
Yeah.
had
The
a woman
giants.
up in Elk River that says she ran into one and flat
Yeah.
I
out
believe
asked
it.
him.
Yeah.
And you know, she didn't tell him what she thought he was.
Yeah.
She said, "What are you?" And he flat out looked her in the eye and said, "I'm a Nephilim." Not many people even know to say
Right.
that.
Right.
And she already knew it.
Yep.
Right? But didn't say anything.
Smart of her,
I'm
probably.
just saying, I know you guys think we're out there, right? Just
Yeah.
tune in. Tune in. This is all in the Bible.
If nothing else, it'll be interesting.
Yes. So
Yeah.
thank you so much. It's an honor to be able to do this. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Please do subscribe. It helps us. God bless
Share.
you. See you next
Share.
week.
Son.
See you next week.
Bye.
Shazam.
Jim's slowly waving.